All right. This is Prapchan Randhawa from Austin, Texas. It's Friday, June 9th, 1:01 p.m. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm doing this impromptu. Um, I've live streamed before, obviously, but never done a voiceover, so this is the first time I'm trying something. Anyway, so I made a tweet. I wrote a tweet. I tweeted something earlier today. As you can see, it's 11:38 a.m., so it's been an hour or so, not a little bit. And it's just random ramblings I have on Twitter. And a gentleman by the name of Akali Blue or Pantprast. I don't know. We gotta have a discussion, and you gotta tell me how to pronounce it, man. Amazing tweets, by the way. So anyway, I'm trying this thing where I'm like recording my voice and explaining my tweet because he probably jokingly said make an podcast episode on this, and equally jokingly, half jokingly, not jokingly, but also not jokingly, responding as a YouTube video. So we'll see how this goes. But I'll read the tweet first, and then I have notes. I have like a couple of lines of notes that I want to explain. Hopefully, this isn't too long. So the tweet itself was interesting to see the CVC's wish for a native 0 to 1 version of AI that's India first. And this is referencing a couple of tweets and videos and a bunch of media I saw this morning of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman visiting India, sitting next to Modi, sitting on a group of VCs, and the question they were asking him is how do we make a Indian version of OpenAI? And I saw that, and I saw a bunch of commentary on it, and I wrote the second line based on that. So I said, in my opinion, the same philosophy underpins the decolonization meme, in pursuit of which many desis end up opposing the European Enlightenment in hopes of building a native one at home. Foolishness. So I'll explain that a little bit. This is right from my notebook. So the 2 points that I have on that, in which I made the connection, is to see a system like the OpenAI AI system, and in this case, I'm also calling the European Enlightenment a system, and to say that we can have a version of that in India makes two fundamental philosophical mistakes. This is kind of a systems point of view on it. I'm sure there's a more colorful version out there, and smart people everywhere get this. So I'm sure, depending on what your worldview is, you have your own version of the same kind of a thing. But in my opinion, the two mistakes it makes is the same thing in two sides of the coin. One of them is reductionism, the other one is computational irreducibility. And to explain them in a very tech bro-y way, is the concept of computational irreducibility basically states that things aren't equations, and the real world isn't equations in which you can plug the answer and kind of jump to what it was going to be. So in school you study math, and they ask you to find x, and when you know x, you know the final form of the equation. That's the end of it. But in computational irreducibility, or how computer programs work, is that even if you know what the answer is, even if you know x, like you know in math, you still have to run the program to find out, right? So the fundamental mistake being made here when in AI systems, and the same mistake people make when they make the decolonization argument, is that they say, oh yes, but if I have the native version of the equation, right, if I have the native x, then I know the answer. I know what my society will look like. I know what an Indian first AI will look like, or I know what Punjab or India would look like if I know the answer to which parts of it are colonized, and all I have to do is plug x, and then we'd have a native version of it. This violates the computational irreducibility principle, and that's what real systems, real life follow. In which case, and I'll repeat one more time, even if you know x, you have to run the system, and you don't know what the system will do until you run the system. So they're missing that principle. The second one, which is the other side of the coin here, reductionism, is people use this all the time, but I'm using it in a formal technical sense. And basically it means as parts added up or parts removed from a system don't equate to the system as a whole. And we again, smart people see this everywhere. They understand it. They realize it everywhere. But if you remove a part from a system, so if you say, in the AI sense, if you remove what OpenAI has done and say, I want to make it again, but without that part, then you're not making the same system. It's a completely different system. And that's, again, the fallacy in the decolonization argument, where the assumption is people say, if only I could recognize, point out, and remove what all has been colonized, I can get a more pure version of the system. But that's a fallacy. That's a reductionism fallacy. You can't put back the parts together and expect a system to come to life. So that was a bit of a fast-paced rant. I don't know if that made sense, but I just wanted to do this more for an experiment's sake rather than to convey anything important. So let's see how this turns out. I don't know. I'm gonna go to YouTube and see if it came on the other side and send it to